Hi, it's Catherine here with the Park Hopper Daily, and I'm back with Anita Boyer and Joe Pallister, our correspondents, who just returned from a 2-month honeymoon at Walt Disney World. And we are going to continue our discussion about their trip, specifically focusing on the good aspects of traveling to Walt Disney World right now and the meh aspects of traveling to Walt Disney World. We're also going to hit some of our Instagram questions. So, Anita and Joe, what's good about traveling to Disney World right now?
Absolutely.
Right. We've got a list.
There's got to be a lot.
Hold up.
Yeah.
This is in no particular order, but first on our list is physically distanced lines. So while I don't love the congestion that it causes when they're keeping the lines outside, like for example, Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, most of the line is outside, and then you kind of speed through the inside. But once we're allowed to be inside, and it's like kind of more the post-COVID era, and they can utilize the queues inside in all of the rides, I hope that they still maybe make it 3 feet. I don't know. I love not having people breathing down my neck, because the moral of the story is it's not going to get you on the ride faster. In fact, if you're doing it to me, it will specifically get you on the ride slower, because I will slow down just to like prove a point and be a butthead. But I have really enjoyed my personal space, because I get claustrophobic, and especially when there's so many people around, and once you get inside and they're like, then you feel like you can't escape. With the physically distanced lines, it's like, okay, there's breathing room. I don't have to smell your deodorant, and you don't have to inhale my hair,
Yeah.
Oh, this actually is number one. That I am the most excited about this, and I think that this is a revelation that should be applied to utensil caddies the world over. The new utensil caddy, because I have always, pre-COVID as well, I've always been a little skeezed out by like a cup of straws or forks. Or the new caddy, you just grab it. It sticks out like the handle. Like, so if this is your spoon, this is the machine. It just sticks out the end. You pull it out, and then a new little end of a spoon or a fork or a knife pops out. So the only thing that you can touch, you don't have to touch the device, you don't have to touch any other utensil. You just grab the end of your utensil, pull it out, and like that end that's actually going to go into your mouth is clean, never been touched. Hopefully, I have never seen how they're loaded, but I'm gonna live in.
Think about that, Anita.
Yeah. I'm gonna live in the assumption that it's being loaded, safely and germ free. But the utensil caddies got me really, really excited.
Yeah, really good.
Well, especially you guys were at 3 festivals during this trip: Food and Wine, Festival of the Holidays, and then for the first day of the Festival of the Arts.
Yeah.
At those festivals, like, you are constantly grabbing utensils, and
absolutely,
that's awesome that they've set up a new system for that.
I know that this is an unrealistic thing that I hope sticks around, but I have loved the lower crowd size. Even pre-COVID, like I said, I get really claustrophobic when there's too many people around, or I feel like I don't have an easy escape. So being able to, in every park, even when certain sections were busy, like the hub is always busy, Main Street USA always busy, that weird little section in Mexico and Epcot always busy. There's Galaxy's Edge always busy. But the difference this trip has been that there are so many vacant, like you're the only person you can see even midday. Like, there are escapes for you throughout the park, and I've definitely been there before COVID, where it's like, if you want to escape, you better get yourself back to your hotel room.
And can I ask, what were some of the like escape areas that you guys really enjoyed escaping to in the parks?
Absolutely. For me, in the World Showcase, it was kind of like the back nine, not nine, but like the Germany, Italy, Morocco. I felt like those pavilions, when you like dip further into them. There were lots of seating areas set up, and any time of day for most of the days, sometimes like day one of the Festival of the Arts, everything was a madhouse. But for the most part, for 2 months over the holidays, those areas had space where you could really just and just breathe and relax. In the front of Epcot, there are places where you can kind of escape because there's a lot that's not open. So most people are just kind of breezing past. But kind of toward the exit of Spaceship Earth, there's a whole huge area. We did a lot of like silly photo shoots there because we could set up a tripod and shoot videos and photos of us, and no one would even be in the background because there's nothing open there right now, so that everyone's kind of sprinting to the rides that are open. But for in all of the parks, just going kind of the opposite direction. So like Pandora, you're not going to find a spot where you can relax and get away from the crowd. But in like the Maharaja Jungle Trek or the Gorilla Falls, like there's lots of space and lots of...
Even around, because Lion King is closed. Remember that whole area that was always empty where the wrought iron fence is?
Harambe.
I mean, the rebar, the fences that they made out of rebar. That whole area was always pretty empty, and that you could sit. There's benches and stuff that you could sit and look at the river. It's nice.
And they opened the amphitheater where you used to go to watch the Rivers of Light, and you can go in and sit there physically distanced. And there were some times where like the entire section, like it was just us, and like a whole so we could like
just sitting in the sun. Like, oh, that felt so good there. That was great. And then they had the boat cavalcades would go by, so you get like a little your own personal show.
Magic Kingdom though,
that didn't really have any place.
I don't know that I would say that there was like an escape in Magic Kingdom. That's why we spent the least amount of time in Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom.
Hollywood Studios?
Maybe. Well, Magic Kingdom was empty that morning. Remember we were there early?
Any of the parks super early in the morning is good. So if you like, definitely, I mean, that's like the number one advice pre, mid, and post COVID is rope drop the crap out of everything.
Like around Peter Pan that morning was empty.
Oh, that's not an advice.
No.
That's never empty. It was just like an anomaly that one day. The area by Peter Pan is not going to be a place where you can escape people.
I feel like that's like always a choke point. When you're going from Fantasyland to Liberty Square, through past Peter Pan, that's always busy, I feel like.
But it was pretty good. Remember we were around Liberty Square and that was pretty empty. It was the river. They've drained the river.
They're doing work on the riverboat. No, there's no place in Magic Kingdom that we can recommend. We can't speak to an anomaly day and be like, hey,
the Polynesian.
Yeah. Escape to one of the resorts. Seriously, and the walkway was wonderful. The new walkway that they put into Grand Floridian from Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom, and you can keep on that path and walk to Polynesian, and you can of course walk to the Contemporary. That was our escape when we were at Magic Kingdom, was kind of walking to one of the other resorts. Mobile ordering.
Hollywood Studios, is there an empty place there?
Oh, sorry.
Around Gertie was usually
around Echo Lake, especially now that Indiana Jones is not currently running. That whole area was very open. Lots of benches, lots of like side, it's not technically a bench, but you can sit on it, little areas that were open, and not a lot of foot traffic because everyone's either going straight to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, they're going straight to the left to get to Batu, or they're going straight to the right to get to Toy Story. And no one's really kind of going before that to kind of get around. So if you go down the street and make your first left and kind of sneak over where Hollywood and Vine and 50s Primetime, that is a very open, even in the busiest of times. That was like a good getaway spot. And depending on the time of day, Sunset Boulevard, but
they have a lot of benches on Sunset, so that it was kind of nice to be able to sit on the benches along the streets.
Yeah. Any road that is not also being used as line backup, because that is what congested everything the most, was and especially that all the areas in Magic Kingdom, they they just don't have space to have a queue physically distanced without taking up the sidewalk. So that area outside of Peter Pan, you'd have the Peter Pan line dipping down into Liberty Square, and you'd have the Haunted Mansion line like down in like where you used to get onto the Lily Belt, or is that called the Lily, the river, Mark Twain riverboat? That might be I might be remembering the Disneyland one, but the riverboat.
Yeah.
That was now line for Haunted Mansion, and then Splash Mountain line would come. So you have all these lines where it should be just sidewalk, and that's what took up most of the space. Especially, I mean, Tomorrowland is always a cluster, and every single line being outside as well was like, we went back that way once, and I was like, no. We took some pictures by the purple wall, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. That's like not even Tomorrowland. Another mobile ordering.
Yes.
And it's funny because before we left, I saw on like Disney Facebook groups and message boards, I saw a lot of hate about the mobile ordering, and that it was confusing, and that they didn't want to have to use a credit card, and they did, this and this and this and this. But the reality that we experienced was that it was fantastic. It was so nice before we even got into a park, you can place an order for a certain time, like a pickup window, and know that like once you get there, you're going to be able to just go pick up your food and sit and eat, instead of like, okay, let's get there and then let's wait in a 20-minute line and then let's try to figure out what we want when we're up there. And like, I always get, even if I know exactly what I want, I feel like I get that like stage fright panic, which is weird because I'm an actor, but like I get up there, I'm like, wait, but that looks good too. Oh my God. So it kind of forces you to know what you want and just order what you want, and then know what time you're going to go pick it up. And the cast members were so helpful. If we placed a mobile order in advance and I forgot to put whatever drink, or they helped me. They weren't like, oh, well, you can come back in an hour and get, they were like, no, you're here now. You have your food now. Yeah. Here's how you order. Let's just ring you up for a drink and then, go sit down. They're very helpful. You can use gift cards. We did not use Magic Band, so I can't speak to that, but cast members did say it's possible. So I'm assuming somewhere in like the payment, there's like a, how do you want to pay? You can set it up however you need to set it up, and pay however if there's any discounts that are available, they automatically apply them. So while there's not discounts on quick service in the parks at the moment, there were a few mobile ordering for like table service that we got our DVC discount or annual pass discount. And I didn't even know to ask, and it automatically, because all those cards are on our My Disney Experience, it automatically gave us the best deal possible. And I was like, oh, thank you, Disney.
We used mobile order prior to COVID because we haven't been since. And we used it in 2019 in our January trip and our September trip. And it was so nice. And also, like, I didn't know why nobody else seemed to be using it, but like Flame Tree Barbecue in Animal Kingdom, we got lunch there. I mobile ordered at our table. They let me know when it was ready. I went up. There was this huge queue of people waiting to order at Flame Tree and get their food. And the mobile order queue was like totally empty. I walked up, got my food. I mean, it was so easy. So I'm glad to see that they've expanded that as well.
It's very nice. The only negative I would say is that some places sold out of times. Like Woody's Lunchbox. I remember one day at like at noon, I was trying to order, and it was like the pickup window is from 4:40 to 5, and I was like, whoa, like but they are doing that on purpose because they want you to be able to be at a table physically distant. So it's not that the kitchen can't churn out the food fast enough. It's that they're just waiting for people to be done so that you can actually not have your food and stand there awkwardly like, oh, great, I'm in Toy Story Land. Where can I even go?
And that's one problem with Toy Story Land and Woody's Lunchbox is they have like no seating. I mean, it's so limited. And right now, that's kind of problematic.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is an unpopular opinion, but I love the way they do the Rise of the Resistance queue. I think it is brilliant. I think it is the least stressed I've ever been to try to get like a main like e-ticket plus attraction. I love that they've made it that you don't have to be in the park to be able to get into the queue. That definitely, because we rode it pre-COVID, and I'm that crush of people trying to get through the turnstile to get into the park to be able to like click the button at the right time, like that was not manageable even pre-COVID. So I think it's really great that they are allowing people who specifically have the park pass for Hollywood Studios to be able to try to make that reservation. And then if you don't get it, you can plan the rest of your day accordingly. You can, if there is another park that's available, you can switch it to Epcot instead of wasting, you know, it's not never a waste, but you know what I mean? Like if you only have so many days, you know, you might not want to spend your day in Hollywood Studios if your one and only goal is getting Rise of the Resistance. So I think that's
or you
really
could even
nice.
pivot your Hollywood Studios day where you're like, okay, maybe I still want to go there, but my focus is going to be, you know, getting on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and then I'm going to go to Toy Story Lands, and it's less of a priority.
Yeah.
I get there at like rope drop, you know.
Yeah. Not 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours before.
If you did not get to the park 2 hours before their scheduled opening, you wouldn't get you had no chance. There was no chance. I also like that both. So there's a time at 7 a.m. that you can try. This is the current info as of January, whatever the date is. This might change. Disney changes it all the time, but you can try at 7 a.m. and then you can try again at 1 p.m. But only if you have that as your park pass. You cannot park hop to try to get on Rise of the Resistance, which I think is great because the priority should be the people who are like making the commitment to that park for the day, not people who are maybe like annual pass holders or local or whatever, who are like, I'll just go if I can get Rise of the Resistance. Like, no, it should, let's give a little preference to like the guests who are, you know, that's like
made the commitment to have the reservation.
I will say that it is a little bit, because it's so, you have 0.5 seconds to make it. Like the window for making this booking, it's really, if you miss it by a second, you miss it, and you probably miss it for the day, because I heard the 1 p.m. is even harder to get into. So there's a technological advantage that I think, you know, kind of makes it difficult for people who are not, you know, cell phone savvy. I could see, like, for example, my parents, like I could see them calling me at 7:05 and being like, honey, how do we get a we heard it's and I'd be like, you missed it. You
missed it by 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
59.9 seconds. And there's lots of like little theories on how to give yourself the best chance.
How did you guys get it? I mean, did you do any of the like get off the Disney Wi-Fi and, you know, walk backwards 20 steps?
So we found that the only 2 times we didn't get it was when we were connected with someone else who was also going to Hollywood Studios that day, and the time that it took me to go like this and uncheck their box, that I missed it.
You missed it, yeah.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
Every other time when it was just like you hit, so you should be on the page already. I use my Apple Watch to count down the seconds to know exactly when it's 7. Don't jump the gun. Exactly at 7, you hit join, and then it'll pull up your party, and then you hit like to the next, and then it will, if you made it, it will give you your number. So right at 7, if you have other people who are also going to Hollywood Studios, but you're not trying to make a reservation for them, and you have to uncheck them, you might be sunk. So you should have whoever you're making a pass for should be the only people that you're connected to on the app. And do not, so the other thing that I think screwed us up is I think they were trying to make a reservation for us. If multiple My Disney Experience apps are trying to make reservations for the same people, I think it cancels it out. or it like gets confused. It's just, I mean, it's so fast. You can't have anything like weird or wonky or bad service or anything going on in that like literal second, which it worked for us because we are technologically savvy, and we were able to like at from 6:55 to 7:00. This was me like, okay. Okay,
I know there's a couple of mornings I'm like, what are you doing?
100 seconds left. Okay, ready? 99, 98, 97. Yeah. Like we got into it, but I could see how, you know, it would be difficult. Which is that's like the fast pass thing. It's like if you have the savvy, it gives you that real leg up. So the virtual queue is one of those things that doesn't really level. Although then now it does level the playing field if you're not the kind of person who wants to be at a park for 2 hours before it even opens. Yeah. So, you know, they have to pick the one. There's no perfect way to do it. There's no completely fair way to do it. There's just the way that they do it, and you can learn it. The cast members are so helpful and kind and patient, and will go through every single step with you.
It's a really efficient way to do it also, I think, on their part. Because you get a boarding group and you get a time that you need to be there. Like you get an alert that says now boarding groups, blah, 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 through blah, blah, blah. So if you're in that window, then you show up, and there's no queue, there's no line. If there is a line, it's very, very tiny. Yeah. And it's constantly moving. You're never just standing still. So it's really efficiently done. And it's great COVID times and when it's not COVID time, because you don't have to stand in a line. You don't have to spend 3 hours of your park day waiting for one ride.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, think about like when Pandora opened. Weren't you there opening day, Anita? And it was like, didn't you and Kasha wait online for like 3 hours?
We were there 3 months later.
Oh, it was 3 months later.
And we were still like 3 hours. I don't even know. I think that the longest we waited was 2 hours, but like there were times during the day when it was up to 4 hours long. That I was also there the week of Thanksgiving that year, and it was a 2-hour wait just to get into Pandora, and then a 4-hour wait. So there were people who were waiting for 6 hours to go on one attraction. And I'm not gonna lie, if that's the only time that you're going to be able to do Flight of Passage for years, I might do it too. But
I don't know. That might be a hard pass for me. 6 hours.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's true. That's true. Oh, you know what? I had this on both lists. Wearing a mask. I know that I had it on the can't wait for it to go away, the bad, but I also had it on the good because being at Disney, even when I only go for like a weekend or a week or 2 weeks, I usually get something. I usually get some kind of stomach something or some kind of sinus infection. I'm very, very prone to sinus infections. And since COVID, I haven't, knock on everything, I haven't been sick at all, really. And I think that, you know, the only thing that I'm really doing, I mean, I'm not seeing as many people, but then being at the parks, I'm like, what's different about this? Like, oh yeah, I'm not around anyone and I'm wearing a mask. Like, I'm not getting any germs.
You're probably also not touching as many things.
Way more like sanitizing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that
hand washing diligently.
I think that even like post-COVID, you might see me on a plane or at a park, like with a mask on anyway, even if I don't have to, because if it can help. I love not having sinus infections.
I don't know about the theme parks once we no longer have to wear masks in a future far, far away. But I was actually just talking with my husband last night about how I don't see a time in the foreseeable future when we get on an airplane that both my husband and I and our children won't wear masks. Because I just don't know why I wouldn't just add that extra layer of protection. I mean, in Japan, people have been using masks as a way of protecting other people from their colds and other illnesses.
Yeah.
They've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Tokyo Disneyland almost 10 years ago, and it was like, I thought it was so like strange. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many people. And my brother and I were like, is there something happening here? Like, what's going on? And then, you know, it was explained to us like, no, this is a courtesy. This is And I'm like, oh, we're from America, so we don't know that. We don't know about
courtesy.
that.
That word's not in our dictionary,
Curtis?
apparently.
How does it?
Curtis?
Curtis?
All over you right now while I have
It's my right. It's my freedom to sneeze on you.
America.
Oh,
God. Oh, at the resorts, you can get a refillable mug.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one right here.
That's the best.
Super cute, right? So for the length of your stay, or if you're like me, you just keep bringing back the same mug. They have a. No, I would never. I would never. I also only get soda water, so in my mind that should be free anyway because it's water. But it used to be just self-serve and anyone could go up, and it was obnoxious, and people would just kind of like, even if you were politely waiting for the thing to be ready, someone would just like go up, and it's just, it's just a free-for-all. Now they have a designated cast member and like tables blocking those areas off, and like you show them your mug and then they say, great, what would you like? And then they give it to you in a disposable cup so that you can put it in here if you want, but there's no like cross contamination. Maybe in the future, like if it's not as pandemic-y of a time, I wouldn't mind them filling up the actual mug. That part could stay or leave, but the actual having the organization and the cleanliness of one person touching all of the stuff and then handing it to the guest, I think that is a really nice plus.
Yeah, it was good.
And while I know it's like more manpower, I also wonder, I've only ever seen one person there. How many people are cheating the system and getting free soda or coffee or water that you wouldn't get if there's a person there managing it? Like, I wonder if it actually is cheaper to have a cast member there managing it.
Well, you're also, I mean, if you're going to really dive into if they save money, you're probably less likely to like go up like 5 or 6 times. If you know that you have to like go through this process, you're probably going to fill your mug and be done with it.
Yeah. So I think that is definitely something that I think could stay and should stay. As far as room cleanliness, I really liked having, they all now have like a placard that says specific things that they have done. And it's things that I have never thought about before, but that I am so skeeved, what is the word? I'm grossed out at the thought of it not happening. I'm like, thank you for letting me know that this is happening, but also make sure that it happens forever. Like the extra, like the remote control in a bag. We never even took it out of the bag. We're like, it works in the bag. Why would we take it out? This is great. Like, I'm about to put all of our remotes in a bag. Like, even at home. I love remote in a bag. Remote in a bag has got to stay.
Yeah, it really works. It's good.
At all of the pools at the resorts, they are set up specifically. You cannot move them. If you move them, which we saw several times, people trying to move them, even though cast members were coming up to them specifically to say, please don't move that.
Yeah, it's set up specifically for
distancing and to keep everyone safe. I love that they were specifically set up like that, because I do feel like sometimes people are obnoxious at the pool and like kind of set up like fort area, or they take up so many chairs and then they're just in the pool the whole time. And you're like, so you're assigned seats, and then when you leave, you push the seat all the way forward, or if it's like a regular chair at a table, you like lean it on the table so that they know not to seat someone there until someone's come by and actually physically wiped it down.
Oh, that's great.
It was so clean, and so like it just being out by the pools was great. The only negative of the pools was that you didn't have to wear your mask at all on the pool deck, like even walking around. So I did not love that I could be laying and like have my mask off laying out, and someone could walk literally. I had a couple of times like the kids running by with the towel, like they're dragging their towel across my legs. That's how close they are, and they don't have masks on. I'm like, children! I felt like the old man and Dennis the Menace, like, get off of my lawn!
I don't know why they didn't enforce or tell people that if you're stationary, you can take your mask off, but if you're moving around the pool deck, please wear a mask. I think
Well,
they
I
should
think it's
do
because
that.
you can't wear a mask in the pool. So they're thinking people are moving from their chair to the pool.
Yeah.
You got to be able to go do that without your mask on. Some people were nice, and if they were just going up to the bar or something, they would put their mask on. But some people were just like, mask-free zone, boom, done.
Yeah.
Now, for listeners and viewers who didn't tune into our previous episodes, Anita and Joe stayed at like a billion DVC resorts during their 2-month stay.
And we went to pools at all of them.
Yeah. So what were the best pools?
We spent a lot of time at the Grand Floridian pool.
Yeah.
That was really nice. I think that the hands down the best pool on property is at Beach Club and Yacht Club, with the sand bottom and the cool pirate slide. Unfortunately, our days that we were there, it was about like between 30 and 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to spend much time there. But every single pool that we went to, because I think we hit the pools at all the other resorts, it was clean, it was distanced, it was cool. The lifeguards are so on top of it. I guess I'd never really paid attention to it before, but they weren't even sitting. Like if there was someone in the pool, they were standing and pacing.
Even if there wasn't,
which
pool was that?
Art of Animation in the Radiator Springs. We weren't even staying there. We just wanted to explore, and then Joe got sleepy, so
I got sleepy.
We pulled over so we could have a little nap by the pool in the sun because he's a cat. And, there's no one in the pool, but there's two lifeguards just kind of pacing and
like patrolling the edge of the pool.
And we were just like, we're not gonna drown. If you guys want to sit for a minute,
we're 20 yards from the pool. We're not gonna fall in.
So they take it seriously.
Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear, because for families that are thinking about, maybe just trying to escape the cold and, get down to Florida, but maybe aren't so interested in the theme parks, it's nice to hear that they're doing just as good of a job at the resorts of making sure things are safe and clean.
We could do, and we probably will in the future, do an entire episode just on going to Disney World and skipping the parks.
Yeah, that would be a good episode.
We've done it, and it the list is endless. And if you think about it, even the cheapest possible Disney Resort hotel is maybe just shy of $200, upwards of $500, $600, $700, $800. It could go to the thousands. So how are you getting your money's worth if you're only there to sleep?
Yeah.
We thought about that a lot this trip, and we made a real effort to spend a lot of time at the resort because they do make it worth, there's a reason why it costs that much, and it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Oh, right. Next on my list. I grab my little listy.
Oh, the pool at Bay Lake Tower is really nice too.
Oh, okay.
Oops. I think I just...
We almost booked our next trip at Bay Lake, but then actually after talking to Anita, we moved it to Riviera.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that's the better bet. The pool there is beautiful too at the Riviera.
Yeah. And I would say as far as transportation as well, because Magic Kingdom is the most congested, I think the most important parks to be able to have easy access to are Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And with the Skyliner, you can't beat Riviera.
Yeah.
You really can't. I love that they're cleaning the rides more often. And it makes me feel very icky that this is a new thing. This should be forever and ever and ever. I don't care if I have to wait a half hour, an hour extra in line because you shut down for 15 minutes to do a cleaning of every single car. Do it. I'll wait. Because the stories that we've heard from cast members about what possibly happens on the rides, I don't want it to just be cleaned up because
that should be its own episode, Anita.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
cast member secrets.
Another thing about cleaning too, what we noticed, they have hand sanitizer stations all over the park, everywhere, coming in and out of, if it's a store, a shop, or
every store, every ride,
they're everywhere.
Every entrance, every bathroom. Even though you can wash your hands, as soon as you get out, you can get hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
I was doubling. I was yeah, sure, why not?
And the great thing is that I've seen on many occasions them literally cleaning the hand sanitizing stations, taking the cover off, wiping them down.
There's a whole staff that just has these little carts now, and they go around and they sanitize high traffic areas. They sanitize rails. They sanitize the sanitizers.
Benches.
They
Everything.
sanitize benches. Everything that people can touch, it is being sanitized. That's not to say like now you can go and like lick the rails. Like, don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Although we did see some of that from some kids.
Yeah, some kids.
I
Licking
was
the
like,
glass and stuff.
Like licking the glass. We were at this is like for anyone who's doing any shopping, like we actually saw some kids like grab stuff off the bottom shelf, put it in their mouth, and then put it back. And then like someone else who didn't see that go and grab that thing, and I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah. Kid that was crawling.
Where are the parents?
I know. I hope that they keep this glorious turnaround time for festivals. That's why we were able to hit 3 festivals in this last trip. That, I mean, usually there is at least a few weeks in between festivals, and now there was like, I think between it was just from Thanksgiving till November 30th or December 1st when the Festival of the Holidays started. It was like it was such a quick turnaround, and then it was just a week between Festival of the Holidays and Festival of the Arts. And I think that's great because Epcot feels so much better with a festival. It with people call it Walcott, like the whole front part is just it's so exciting. Like you can feel like the potential of what's going to be, but it's going to be. It's not yet. And so without any of that stuff open, I think it's really, really great that they've made a real effort to have lots and lots of festival time and not so much downtime in between.
Well, they took the wall down around the fountain.
They did. The fountain is there, but I'm talking like you've got the Epcot Play, you've got Guardians, you've got that new restaurant, the Moana water, and who knows, where everyone is. Yeah. Well, the wall is down there. The wall is
down there.
I saw today, actually, it's January 15th, that the Gusteau sign, I guess, was lit last night. So it seems like that opening is imminent. We don't have a date, but it seems like that's coming soon, which is really exciting.
Oh man. So I have a lot of anxiety just in general in my life, and the park pass system, as much as I am hopeful that we're not there forever, the great thing about it that we experienced was that it forced us to just make a decision and be done. And it was like, we can only go to Animal Kingdom today. And the first day that we went back, I think I was actually texting you. I was like, I can park hop, and it is the most stressed I've been on this trip.
You were
like, I was like, so we just did Hollywood Studios, but now we can go to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom and Epcot, and like, I feel like I'm not getting.
What do I do?
I'm not getting my money's worth. I'm not getting like the full experience. I'm not taking advantage of this time if I don't do everything all at once. So the park pass system and having to choose one park per day and stick with one park per day was such a relief.
Yeah.
And
because you could be in that park and experience that park, because when park hopping is happening, you're in Animal Kingdom, but you're thinking about Epcot. You're thinking about Hollywood Studios.
Like always cheating on the park that you're in.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm with Animal Kingdom right now, but couldn't I be with Epcot?
I'm checking the app, and oh my gosh, Test Track only has a 15-minute wait right now. What are we doing?
Yeah, it really it's kind
pressure. It gives a lot of pressure.
Because the moral of the story is there's no wrong way to do Disney. I mean, there's no wrong way to do Disney as long as you're not like trying not to wear your mask or like break the rules. I'm saying if you're just like going to experience Disney, people ask me all the time like, well, what do I have to do? And I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do like, you'll only have a magical trip if you hit Flight of Passage, Rise of the Resistance, get that reservation at Olga's. It's just not true. There are as many variations of a perfect Disney trip as there are people. And I think taking away that like, all these possibilities of things that I could be doing are just like, and I can be like, Animal Kingdom, let's enjoy each other today.
Well, and that's exactly it. Let's enjoy that park because you probably meandered and enjoyed things in Animal Kingdom specifically, which tends to be the park that, people hit the things they want to do and then they
Yep.
vominos.
Yep.
And you probably were able to take in so much more because you knew that was it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like actually one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they go to Walt Disney World is that like FOMO, I've got to do it all. And then they're exhausted and their kids are breaking down. And it's like, just it's a vacation. Treat it like a vacation.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
agree.
found that even after like 50 days of being there and having been to every park, I think we hit every park at least 15 times. Like
Wow.
I know how massively spoiled I am, like we are, for having had that experience. Even with that, I still found myself so anxious about like, well, it's our last few days. We have to hit everything. We have to hit everything. And I'm like, what? Like, calm down.
Well, especially, I mean, you're going to be back.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Next weekend. No, I'm just kidding. So in that way, and not I'm fine if people don't agree with that, but I know that there's a few people out there who are going to be like, yeah, it was nice. It was nice that little window where we could only go to one park. That was nice. In that same realm, I hope that they never go back to 180 freaking days to plan your dining. That is obscene. That is obscene to me. 60 days. 60 days.
The way it's been at Disneyland, and it seems to have worked there. So I agree with you. I hope they keep it that way. I mean, I remember being up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 months before my family vacation, all stressed if I was going to get Sci-Fi Diner at Hollywood Studios. Like,
which you probably didn't anyway, because it's impossible to get. Did you get it?
I got it.
Nice. Because you were stressed. Yeah, you were stressed and up at 6 a.m.
Exactly. I was up at like 5:30 with my coffee, staring at like multiple computer screens.
But then
like at the command station,
You did that, but we went. No, this was pre-COVID, and I think that Sci-Fi is one of the restaurant. Well, I mean all of them, but especially because of the way they're set up with the cars, they can't. It can only be one party per car, and I don't know if they can seat all of the cars at once. So I'm sure their capacity is even way more hurting. That was grammatically correct. Way more hurting. But the trip that we took just before COVID hit, I couldn't, for 180 days, sci-fi, couldn't get anything. We just walked up and they seated us within a half an hour. So like, that's where I'm like, I don't even think the 180 days was as necessary. I mean, if you have a large group or a larger family, like I'm not going to lie, it's easier to sneak in as a 1 or a 2. But yeah, I think 60 days, like, let's take the massive stress out of planning our trips and like take away the pressure of it has to be this and this, and just so I hope that stays. We talked about this in the last segment too, but on our pro column was fast passes being gone for exactly the same reason, just leveling the playing field and making it a little bit more in the moment. Just there, so much of this COVID trip was just in the moment and listening to our gut and like listening to the like following the magic wherever it would take us that day. And that is, to me, that was so much more of a magical experience than like we have a fast pass here, then we have food here, then we have a fast pass, then it's like
color coded spreadsheet,
exactly. And I mean, I almost just said, then it's like work. Like, let's be real, it's still fun, it's still great, if you're doing it that way. But just to be able to be like, oh, Peter Pan is kind of crazy right now, let's just walk around somewhere else.
And look, I think that there is a certain percentage of Disney fans, it's one of the things that they love about it, and I'm definitely one of those people where planning my next Disney trip, the planning is like, daydreaming about what you're going to do and what you're going to eat. And like, that's really great. But I think it does get to a point where you become so rigid that you're not able to just like you said, just like pivot and go with your gut and do what you want to do. And that's, I think, really important, especially.
Yeah. And that's such a good point too. I mean, if I didn't have this Disney trip to plan, cancel, and reschedule about 37,000
Yeah.
times, I don't know. That literally was like my therapy to get through 2020. Like,
I'm currently planning trip number 5 during COVID, none of which I've been on. And,
yeah, right. But
it's a really nice escape.
It is nice. It is nice to plan.
Fingers crossed on this one.
Amen. We liked having the Skyliner to ourselves. They used to do, if you were like a party of 2 or 1, like they would seat you with another party of 2 or 1, and like the way that you're sitting just facing each other, it's like, okay, we have to talk or else it's really awkward.
Yeah, it's almost like a moving intervention.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so thank you for joining us today. So that I really liked having my privacy in those moments, like even without the safety or the germ factor. Oh, what did I say was the number 1 favorite? The utensils? Okay.
Yeah.
That was a lie. Number 1 favorite change that I hope stays forever, the security line.
Oh, yes.
Well, that sounds like it will stay forever, right? Because they put a new system in. So it sounds like that will be forever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be forever.
They
it would
no
be stupid
longer
to go back to the way it was.
go through every single bag individually. They don't even touch your stuff unless you have something that sets off like their bigger alarm. You just walk through like metal detectors and there's someone there like checking on a screen, you know, like, do you have anything that looks like whatever?
Yeah, I think it does shapes of if it detects something weird that looks like a gun or looks like something other dangerous, some other dangerous
like
instrument.
they had us hold, anytime we had our tripod or an umbrella, you'd have to hold it out in front of you so they could know like that's not, you know, the metal in your bag. But other than that, like it was just go through, get a quick temperature scan, which I also hope stays, because while I'm sure that post pandemic they're not going to want to spend the money, but it is nice to know that at least no one in the park is running a fever.
Yeah,
you know, like even I don't know, maybe it might not be necessary, but it was definitely nice. And then that line always went really fast, and then security you zip right through, and then you like scan your magic band, and there was not one time, even on the busiest day or midday, or you know, there was not one time that we had to wait for any of that.
There was no line for that.
Huge.
Oh, one thing too. I just jumping back with the indoor dining. They temperature screened everyone before going into any indoor dining experience. So we didn't point that out before, but that was always a good thing.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So since we were just talking about dining, another great thing that they did, if you didn't have a reservation, a lot of the restaurants did a virtual walk-up list. So that's how we got into Nomad Lounge, all the times that we did that. And you don't have to join the wait list like at the restaurant. You can join it from the app. So like as soon as we were walking into Animal Kingdom, I was like, do you want to hit Nomad at some point today? And Joe was like, yeah. So first I checked to see if there's reservations, and there's none. So you join the walk-up list, and then they text you, and they're like, we'll probably get you in around 45 minutes. And then they just text you when your table's ready.
That's great.
And you can make your preferences. You can tell them about any allergies that you have right there. You can tell them if you prefer indoor or outdoor, or if you don't either, for seating. It was so easy
really, really good
to get into places. I mean, they do the same thing for Oga's, in that we were so lucky to get in once. In 54 days, we got into Oga's one time. And I'm positive that it was just like a fluke. I have no tips. Someone was asking me, like, how'd you get in? I'm like, I don't know.
You got lucky.
I have no idea.
Yeah, luck.
So that is too bad, because it's my favorite. But virtual walk-up list for dining was absolutely fantastic. And then our last thing that we hope stays forever and ever and ever, limited capacity in the gift shops. Because it is so obnoxious to try to shop or look at something and like people are breathing down your neck and like reaching over you to like get stuff. They had lines outside, and there are people at like specific doors that were only entrance, and then specific doors that were only exit, and a cast member at each one to say exactly how many people are in, and then, you know, who's leaving, so that they can let the next party in. And it just made shopping, maybe I hope it changes, because we spent way too much money. Maybe they made it too easy to shop. Oh no.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember there were times in certain shops where it was like almost like a blood sport to get certain items. And so like people were like really aggressive, and you're like, geez, back off.
So
okay, so Anita, the May.
Yeah, so there were some things that were like, yeah, this is different, but like we just said, specific entrances and exits for shops. Like some people were I saw so many people just screaming at cast members because they're like, what? The store's right there. Why won't you just let me in? And they're like, because this is exit only. Just go like right down there to the entrance.
Yeah,
So,
like literally walk 10 yards down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Go in over there.
Specific entrances, exits. I think that's nice. I also don't mind, like, if we're not in a pandemic and they don't do it, it's fine. So we were just kind of like, whatever. Distancing on the resort transportation, because like honestly it just seems like a placebo. So if it seemed like something that really was making a difference for real, then I would be like, yeah, we should just keep this around. That would be nice. But honestly, like the way that the dividers are set up and the way that they can see, I mean, yeah, they'll have a divider right here, but there's gaps and like it only goes to here. So like our breath can still, like we're still filling the bus. And then they're seating people directly in front of you. And like the same thing on the monorail, those little that's a joke. Like that's just to make you feel better about being in a space that's really not super safe.
However, I will say, I do hope to a certain extent they do keep it, because I've been on a packed bus, you know, at the end of the night, holding a child, you know, standing up because they've literally, it's like right after fireworks and they're just cramming everybody in. And I mean, honestly, it turned my husband off of park transportation altogether. He's like, just let's get a lift. Let's just get a lift. Let's just get a lift, because those packed buses are just not a great way to end your park day.
That's so true. And random pro tip, but if you are like at Epcot or Magic Kingdom, doesn't really work for Animal Kingdom, doesn't really work for Hollywood Studios. But if you're at a park where you can easily walk to a resort, walk there and then get a lift from there, because trying to get a lift, like, first of all, they're going to surge price the crap out of you, and second of all, like, you're going to be like 10,000th in line. So we usually like call, like, before the show's even over, we'll call a lift to like Beach Club and then just like zip, you know, pre-COVID. Now it's not really an issue because there is no mass exodus. There's no thing that the majority of people are waiting for, which is nice, but it's not worth that is like a pro for now, but I would much rather the mass exodus and get the fireworks show or get
definitely.
It's worth the crush. But that's our list of the good, the bad, and the meh.
Okay, well, really quick, because as per usual, we are running a little long. But that's being connected when Anita and I start talking about Disney. So we did have a couple of questions from our Instagram followers. One person wanted to know actually specifically about magic bands. And what is the purpose for them and how do you get them? I think this is kind of an interesting question now because, of course, the way that magic bands are distributed and how they're being used really is starting to evolve at Walt Disney World as they try to move people away from magic bands, or at least the free ones, and more towards using your phone as your key to everything.
So magic bands, up until the end of 2020, everybody in your party would get one for free if you were staying on property at a Disney resort. You could customize them if you ordered them in advance. If you didn't know about it, they would also just give you gray magic bands when you checked in. You could pick out from a set of colors that were free. Now that same set of colors is available, but it's $5 if you want them. If you don't have magic bands, I think it's worth $5 to get one with your name on it, because it's very cool and it's a nice keepsake, and you just know that that's the kind of thing, like 10, 20 years from now, you're gonna like they're gonna be obsolete, and you're gonna be like, look, see, like anyone who still has like the e-ticket, the ticket packs, I think it's gonna be something cool to have. And for what can you get at Disney for $5? Like, not a lot. So
bottle of water.
Well, not smart water. You can get a bottle of Dasani, but smart water is $6. So I would say if you don't have any magic bands and you are staying on property, it is worth it to order in advance and get one for each of your party for the $5. They also have pre-order exclusive magic bands that you can only get if you're staying on property and if you order them in advance. They're not like available at the resort. So that's in the same webpage. It's all on disneyworld.go. Whatever it is that you are logged in, you get on your My Disney experience. Once you've already made your hotel reservation, there's easy links to customize your magic band. I'll post a picture here in this moment of my Mickey wreath that is covered. We have over 100 magic bands. So I'm not going to be
responsible for global warming, is what you're telling me, Anita.
Yeah, I am personally responsible, but I also am personally responsible for keeping Disney in business. So from our last trip alone, in the parks, you can get for anywhere from like $15 to $35, you can get any level of cool, like every attraction basically has one, different characters, more colors. There's also little band charms that you can get. They're very fun, and they're like a cool functional accessory. Do you need them? Disney is like you were saying, they're trying to make everything available via the app, especially without fast passes. Like what can you use them for? So you can use them. They scan your band to, if you're doing PhotoPass photos, that's how you can collect and see your pictures, either on the rides or if you take your picture with a PhotoPass person like out in the parks. You can link a credit card to them, which I highly don't recommend if you're like me and like have no self-control, and you can just be like, boom, buy it, boom, buy it, boom. I never link my credit card to my magic band because it terrifies me. You can use it to get into your room. And you can use it to get into the park. So those are the ways that you can use it. Now with park hopping, the way they're doing it, you also scan your magic band before you can get on park to park transportation. So like if you're leaving Hollywood Studios but you want to park hop to Animal Kingdom, they will scan you and be like, yes, you have a ticket that this is available for. Yes, we will take you. If you don't, they're not going to take you.
Oh, and also to get into the pools.
Yes, some
and
of the pools
the fitness facilities in the
anything
resorts.
at the resorts that's like that. It's like your key card at the resort. So anything that you would use that for. You don't need it though, because everything that we just listed is also available via the app. Or if you have like your tickets on a card, like you can just use your card to,
like I could use my pass holder card, for example, yes. And that would operate as a ticket and even a room key if I had it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing about that is there's something very convenient about having it on your wrist. Yeah. To get into the pool or to get into your room.
I think the pool and the fitness, especially because you can just boom,
also the room, if you're carrying a bunch of stuff and you don't have to put everything down and take out your phone or take out your card, it's much easier just to throw your wrist against the door and you're in.
Yeah.
Also, as a parent of a tween who just got her first phone and we're trying to teach her some level of moderation, you know, when we're on vacation, sometimes we don't want to be like, you know, on our phones all the time. And so it's kind of nice to maybe put.
Why are you looking at me? What was that look? Did you see that look I just got?
All right. I'm ready to have a conversation with you about cell phone moderation.
I think we're going to have our own episode after this.
So I'll send you the parental app link.
Yeah.
Setting up.
Please.
That's limits. Okay, let's move on to our next question. So, are there any shows going on with COVID happening?
There are a few. So, park by park, Magic Kingdom, they have cavalcades, and they have certain. So, a cavalcade is like a baby parade, like one float and maybe a couple characters or dancers on either side. There is no schedule. You don't know when they're going to happen. You don't know the order in which they're going to happen. You don't know who's going to be there. And there's different versions, like there's different floats that come by. I just saw, because when we were there, it was mostly like Santa, and then like a float with Mickey, and then they also had like the big gingerbread house with Goofy and Max and all, and Clarabelle. It was very cool. But now it looks like they have like Tinkerbell's float from the Festival of Fantasy Parade. So I think that it's really, really cool to stumble upon that stuff. And that kind of goes back to my hyper plan like anxiety. So it was really nice this trip to just happen upon magical things. It made it feel that much more, even though it was little and it was a baby, it was very nice to just stumble
it made it feel
those.
a little more special.
Yeah.
Because you happened to catch it. That was great.
So they have those going on in Magic Kingdom, and they have a couple of spots, 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. The Country Bear Jamboree, they've got the Country Bears up on the roof sometimes. Like, I don't know why anyone would want to meet them, but if you want to meet them and like wave to them.
And then be scarred.
There's like a whole subset of Disney fans that are very upset with you right now, Anita.
I am so sorry. Country Bear Jamboree gives me nightmares. I think that I was traumatized. I think that the first time I went in, my cousin told me it was going to be something very different, and I just like I was not okay.
You took me in last year as an adult, and I'm not okay.
Yeah. I'm very sorry. I respect everyone who's watching or listening. Your choice to love the Country Bear Jamboree, wrong as you are. I'm just kidding. So you can meet the Country Bears. You can meet some princesses and like the stepsisters, and it's very random, but they go out on the back of the castle, like on one of the balconies. So everything is very distant. Like you cannot go up and meet someone.
And the on the train station.
Yeah, the train station at the entrance, they'll have random groups, and that's where if you're gonna meet Mickey, that's where you're gonna meet him. He's there.
And the sing, what's the
Dapper Dan?
Yeah, the
sing
Dapper
up there.
Dan sing up there.
I love the Dapper Dan.
Yeah.
So that's Magic Kingdom. Hollywood.
They went by in a car too, didn't they? On the cavalcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios, you're going to see a lot of Chewie and Rey and some of the Galaxy's Edge characters, again, up on different levels. Kylo Ren and the Stormtroopers sometimes come out by the TIE
Fighter?
Yeah. Look at me.
Yeah.
I got Darth on my arm.
And Chewie and Rey show up above the Land Cruisers.
By Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
They have really cute cavalcades with some Disney Junior, like Disney Playhouse characters. That's like, I don't know any of those characters, so it's very like it was a little creepy to like see and be like, what is this Dracula girl? Okay, I gotta learn more about like the children.
You mean Vampirina?
Oh my gosh! Okay, you need to educate me on the children, like the new kid stuff. Vampirina, she looked cool, but the way that they made those characters is so different than how they have done any of the other characters, I feel like, because it's like the normal size body, but then these huge heads.
It's like a bobblehead.
Yeah.
Like a Bratz doll in real life. It was a little unsettling because I wasn't familiar with them. They also do like the Fab Five, different variations. They'll drive by with really cool cars that are painted. I think I don't know what the inspiration is, but it felt very appropriate for the way Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is like 2D, 3D, or 3D to look 2D. So that's how they painted the cars, to look like you're looking at a cartoon. And a Pixar little parade with some of the Pixar characters. That's basically it for Hollywood Studios. And Epcot, you can see the Hollywood Studios also has Frozen sing-along. So that's some live little shows.
That's one of the only like shows where you're gonna go sit down in a theater and inside and have an experience.
Yeah.
At Epcot, you can catch the Jaminators in Canada. They're on the stage in Canada.
That always got a little oddly crowded in the walkway.
They don't have seats. They have like the big like green dots, and it's like keep your party on a dot. But the dots are like 6-ish feet apart, and the parties would like it just. it filled up. It was not for me. Even though it was outside, that was always an area that just got a little bit too congested, even though you could tell they were kind of trying, but maybe not succeeding. A great place for live entertainment in Epcot is at the America Gardens Theater in the America Pavilion. You can see Mariachi Cobre. You can see the Voices of Liberty. You can see they have some, like, for the Festival of the Arts, I think they have other groups and other combinations of things that you can check out. It's different every day. Like, the thing about the entertainment now is that they're really not committing to it. They're doing what they can, when they can, where they can. And I think I have no idea why, but to me it makes sense, because it's like they're trying to keep it from being a massive, huge draw. Their goal is
where people are going to come together.
Yeah, they want to, like, pepper it in, but kind of be like, oh, you're here, great, here, this is for you. there is a daily schedule, like, on the America Gardens Theater, so you can know, like, oh, I want to see the Voices of Liberty. The seats are very spread out, front and back, side to side. So
every other row,
and it's outside.
Yeah.
I think now that the Festival of the Arts is going on in the Festival Center, which is also just past the UK, is the entrance for the Festival Center. It is an indoor area, which I don't love. They let a lot of people in, which I don't love. And there's so many tables where you can stand and eat, which is right next to where people are just walking by to get to everything else, which I don't love.
Yeah.
I saw a video. Lou Mangello went live for the Voices of Liberty performed in there, and, like, how close he was to all these singers who were singing without their masks on. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, some of these singers, you need, like, 36 feet if you want to be out of their range of breath. Like, they are projecting, they're singing, they're hitting these notes, and they're all, like, it's all inside, and I'm seeing this happening on the screen. I'm like, oh, this is happening, but I don't love it. I would avoid.
I think I prefer to be in the outdoor theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love the Voices of Liberty. It's like, something I love to experience when I go to Epcot, but I'll take it.
One of the best things, though, about the Voices of Liberty is being able to go and sit on the floor, like, literally 3 feet away from them.
Yeah.
And just
and you're in that, like,
domed.
Yeah.
So and the sound in there is just outstanding.
Post-COVID, it'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
And then they have cavalcades as well. They have, like, an Anna and Elsa cavalcade. They have a little princesses cart that comes around, and they have, like, a Mickey Minnie interchangeable kind of Fab Five with some carriages that go through. Again, no schedule. You never know who's going to be there. Sometimes Minnie's not there. So it's if you are going to Disney and you have to meet Elsa, or you have to see Elsa or Anna, now is going to be a terrible time for that, because you won't be able to plan it. You won't be able to guarantee that you're not going to have a sobbing child or be sobbing yourself. I shouldn't just make it to children. I know plenty of adults who are doing plenty of crying over what they can and can't do at Disney right now. And Animal Kingdom has the waterways, and they are the best. Like, those are my favorite because they're constant. If you are, like, we sat at outdoors at Nomad Lounge, and every 5 minutes there's a different thing coming through. I think there were 7 different boats. You could see Timon and Rafiki go by for the Lion King. You could see the drummers go by, and they did, like, a whole cool little drumming they're like a drummer, like a percussion little brigade. They have Mickey and Minnie. They have from Donald Duck and Scrooge, and the one who flies from Darkwing Duck. I think it's Darkwing Duck.
Pocahontas.
Really? Darkwing Duck? Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Pocahontas and Miko come by.
Oh.
Chip and Dale with Goofy, and they're dressed up as dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like, really cool.
Yeah, they had some cool stuff.
Well, they used to do the Chip and Dale, like, dance party. I think it was actually technically Donald's dance party in Dino Land, USA, and Chip and Dale would always be there in the dinosaur costumes.
That was like one of my favorite little
super cute
boats that went by. I was like, that is it was fun to see them in fun little costumes. So yes, there is live shows and entertainment and characters. No, you cannot plan your trip around it.
And the bird show in Animal Kingdom.
Oh yes,
the outdoor
yes.
bird show.
That is also happening.
Still going on.
If you want to get a good seat for the bird show, you almost need to get there when the show starts and just get in line for the next show. Because it's so distanced. Like, it used to be where you could just kind of show up when it was starting and kind of get a good seat. And now, because it's so limited, which is good.
Every other row, and then 6 feet between parties on each bench. So it's really super spread out. But you got to get there pretty early. Otherwise, you're going to be we got there late once we were way in the back up in the corner. It's still a great show, but it wasn't a great seat.
Yeah.
So we do have a few more questions, but I think we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you, Joe and Anita, for sharing your honeymoon stories with us. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. Also, you can like and comment below. And otherwise, this is the Park Hopper Daily, and we will see you soon.
Woo!
So thank you for sharing your honeymoon experience with us, and let's pause for a minute.
Yeah.